to increase street drinking. Councillors, I'll just briefly discuss the crime data in the area. So in the last year, I've done February to February, 27th to 27th, just to cover when this application was received. 2,506 reports were made to the police. So that includes everything. That's crimes, calls for service, everything like that. Within those 2,500, 930 generated crime reports which were investigated by Derbyshire Police. And that's within 500 metres of the shop's location. During this period of time, there are 75 incidents on Midland Road itself, with 63 being public order and public disorder offences. So this is an area, as you can see, there's quite significant concern. Just to give us a bit of a local flavour, within 200 metres, those reports look like 227. Again, with the vast majority being public disorder related, and the vast majority being street related incidents. So allowing the sale of high strength alcohol would likely increase these figures because this alcohol is the sales are predominantly to street drinkers. This is where we see these matters before. Obviously, we've discussed this matter in hearing previously where we've discussed that matter. Now, councillors, normally I'm in a position of having to ask you to imagine what crime would be like in an area should an application go forwards. However, on this occasion, I'm not having to ask you to imagine. In February of 2023, officers from Derby Trading Standards, the police licensing team and the council licensing team did an inspection at this premises where they found that the premises was selling alcohol, most notably beer, cider and lager in excess of the 6.5 limit. There were well over 100 cans and bottles. They were removed from the shelves at the time, so they were in breach of this condition there and then. Along with this breach, there was numerous other breaches of the premises licence, which was worked through by the police and council trading standards teams. So I'm not asking you to imagine what would happen if this was allowed to go ahead. You've already seen what's happened with the premises being in place at the moment. I think, as discussed, the initial application was in 2022 in January. This condition of 6.5% was agreed between us and the applicant at that time. In July of 2023, this subcommittee also addressed the removal of this condition, and at that time we highlighted the presence of street drinking as a concern. It's my submission today that that this condition wouldn't work. It would increase public drunkenness, street drinking. It would negatively impact the crime and disorder within the area. And that's why the police formally wish to object to this condition. I'm not sure I can usefully offer anything else unless councillors have any questions.
Thank you. Do you have questions?
Thank you. Just a quick question. Has a further inspection been done since February 2023?
A further inspection was completed by trading standards and the matters were addressed, yes.
If I may, can I just clarify? So your objection for breaking the licensing standards are primarily the breach of crime and disorder.
Yes, it would be the issuing of this licence with the alcohol will not be served to any known problem people would undermine the licensing objective of crime and disorder, yes.
And that you've said that even though that there are two other premises in the area without the condition, at the time of their licence, the condition wouldn't have been needed, but you are addressing those issues with those premises also. Is that correct?
That's correct. And just to give you a bit of update on those, one of those premises had a licence that came over from the old Act, and one was significantly some time ago. I think, if memory serves me correctly, 2010. So it wasn't an issue that we were looking at there, and then it clearly is now, and has been for a couple of years now.
Thank you. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask, please?
Yes, Chair, just a couple of questions. I just want to ask the first question through you, Chair, with your permission. Is there any special policy like PSP or the Public Space Protection Order? Because my client understand that area has some problems. Does any sort of policies exist in this area?
The Public Space Protection Order is obviously issued by the local authority. However, I have checked, it has expired. My understanding is the local authority do intend to renew that policy in the area. And one of the conditions on the previous policy was not to have any open cans of alcohol, open vessels of alcohol in a public place. So my understanding is the local authority wish to continue and are seeking to renew such an application.
So I guess there's no policies at the moment. The second question, Chair, is there any license being reviewed? Because I understand it's an ongoing problem for a number of years. So is there any license being reviewed by police in the past? Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, is there any licence been reviewed by the police in the past? In this local area, sorry. At this moment, those two off-licence which we haven't submitted review paperwork for. We are working with the licence holders, utilising obviously the stepped approach, trying to not review them, seeking voluntary conditions rather than going for a review.
Thank you, Chair. That's all.
Okay. Would you like to present your case now, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, my client is a personal license holder. He's a responsible business owner running this premises for more than 2 years. The reason, I just want to briefly explain the reason we are asking this. The change to our current license, it's not to increase the sale of alcohol, or it's not to invite the problem people to our premises. It's never been our intention, because that's going to create lots of problems to his staff and himself and jeopardize his investment. That is not his intention, Chair. We are trying to increase the overall shop sale by increasing the footfall. So, because when he get constant requests from his regular customers, because some of the genuine customers, decent customers who buy this alcohol as part of the regular purchase. And because of that, because of this condition, he is losing those individuals because people are not going to go to 2 different shops for 2 different items. So he's genuinely losing some trade. It's a highly competitive area. He has a premises right in front of him, operating 24 hours without any sort of restrictions. We are not comparing premises to premises, but that's the situation his business is in. So just to keep the trade, just to keep his customers, that is why he is requesting this application, Chair. If I quickly go through his current license condition, he has a matrix of conditions on his premises license. If I briefly mention some of them, his staff training. He needs to train his staff on a regular basis, annually refreshed, and all the training has to be recorded and it should be available for inspection. He's been doing that. The DPS should record all the incidents, and the logs need to be maintained, and it should be available for inspection. His CCTV conditions is much more detailed with all the bells and whistles. There are certain conditions under his CCTVs. One of them says at least 1 CCTV camera shall be installed by the entrance door, enable face, head and shoulder images to stand able to identify each person entering, leaving. CCTV must be locked, recorders must be locked safely, and all the areas of the shop apart from the toilets need to be covered by CCTV. CCTV system must be capable of producing image which we can use to identify the individual based on the face recognition. So even just the CCTV condition he has is much more stricter one. Spirits will be stored behind the counter, no self-service. Challenge 25, with the notices, records, all the refusals must be entered. And there's notices to advise people leave, and all the warning signs. And the paved area outside this premises must be swept and kept clean on a regular basis. On top of everything, Chair, there's a condition on his license that he has to train his staff to mindful of all the objectives under the legislation and avoid selling alcohol to the wrong person, proxy sales, etc., etc. So he has a number of conditions on his license. The point to note, with all these conditions on his license, Chair, he's compliant for more than 2 years without any issues. He had regular inspections. He's fully compliant with all of these conditions, even though he has a number of conditions on his license. This clearly shows the compliance and the nature of the business and the personality of my client. Chair, what we are asking is not something, it is something which already exists in this area. We are not trying to set a precedence here, or we are not trying to undermine any licensing objectives. We totally understand this area has a problem of street drinking issue. This is not only because of shops selling alcohol and strong beers, Chair. Yes, there are some shops selling alcohol to the wrong person. And also, we have to accept the fact that's the lack of enforcement in this area. We cannot put all the problems on the street to the shop owners, especially who are actually trying to do the right thing, Chair. My client is compliant with his license all along, and he has a condition on his license that he has to avoid selling alcohol. It's a practice, rather. He has a general practice on his premises. He doesn't sell alcohol or tobacco products to any troublemakers in this area, Chair. This is why all this time my client running this business without even a single complaint. As I previously mentioned, Chair, it's the problems on the street cannot be, all the problems on the street cannot be put on my client's shoulder. 2 years ago, he made an application to change the same condition. He came here, sat in front of the same committee, and the license was refused. And the reason was the objection from the police due to the problems in the area. The last 2 years, even though his application was refused, Chair, 2 years ago, there is no improvement in the last 2 years. We are hearing the same story 2 years later from the police. I'm not undermining any authorities here, but I just have to point out, refusing the license for my client didn't make any change to this area. So what did we achieve by stopping my client doing a decent business, a legitimate business? He's not trying to sell an illegal product. He's trying to sell a product to keep his customer in a responsible manner without undermining the licensing objective. That's all he's trying to do, Chair. So the approach taken 2 years ago, it didn't work. So the problem is not my client, Chair. That is an important point. He's regularly been advised by a number of authorities, training standards, licensing enforcement, police, about the street drinking issues in his area, Chair. As a result, as I previously mentioned, he strictly trained his staff not to serve any products to identified problem people. Businesses knew the problem people. It's business see these people day in and day out. So from the wealth of experience of the area, they can easily manage these problems if they have the willingness to do so. My client is ready to do that, yeah, and he's been doing it for the last 2 years. Evidently, there is no complaint against him. He has a good reputation for all these times. The problem with the street drinkers is not always alcohol-related. There are some drug-related issues, mental health issues, and also when we say alcohol, it's not always by the strong beers. Alcohol-related issues, it could be even ordinary beers people buy, but he doesn't even get customers, he doesn't even get the problem makers coming to his shop for the regular beer, less than 6.5, because he never served this alcohol to anybody, Chair. because they have other options, they have other shops selling alcohol and all other products. So he doesn't get this clientele. Before make this application, we did a risk assessment. I sat with him because he explained the problem and the failure of the previous application. So I sat with him and we went through a quick risk assessment to see what are the impact if we remove the license. The response is because he doesn't get any of these troublemakers in his premises. And he is going to put all the measures in place. I even have some other proposal. I'm going to explain that in a minute here. He is going to put some strict measures just to keep his good customers and not to lose the business here. So someone with matrix of conditions in a very highly competitive area, trying to do the right thing, he's been punished for year after year. And the business is not going to last if he carry on like this. This is his livelihood. He's a family man. This is what they live on. Chair, in front of you today, there is no evidence against my client, nor this application. I understand there are lots of issues being brought into your attention about the area, but not a single one against my client. That's a very important point to note. There's not a single complaint against my client. There's not a breach. I understand police mentioned about the breach in January 2023. It is a mistake. Even my client accepted that when he came to the hearing back in 2023, January, 2 years ago. What has actually happened was he hired somebody to make the application without his knowledge. They put all the conditions, just a license to pass through. Of course, it is his mistake. He's the license holder. He should be aware of it, because when he took the shop first time, that was his oversight. Trading Standard picked that up during their first inspection. On the same day, Councillor, he removed all the alcohol from the shop, from the warehouse, everything being removed. I'm glad, Councillor, you asked the question about the follow-up inspections. Since that incident in January 2023, Trading Standard visited his premises for numerous issues: tobacco compliance, alcohol compliance, compliance of all other conditions. In the last 2 years, almost 14 to 16 times, there was not a single breach under his license. That's why Trading Standards is not here today, who identified the problem in 2023, Chair. And another thing concerns me. When the police brought this as evidence to object this license, they conveniently missed all the inspection after that. That doesn't give you a clear picture. That is, with great respect, Chair, it's misleading to the panel. My client is concerned about this. Police visit the premises. Police inspect the premises at least twice a year. There was no instance, no issues for the last 2 years. That is his record. That is his compliance. Yes, he made a mistake 2 years ago. It doesn't mean he has to punished for that year after year. That is not right, Chair. So it has to be some sort of impartiality when we make a public statement against the premises, Chair. Chair, you need to tackle the problem, premises, rather than banning every single premises in this area. We recognize the problem in this area. This problem exists for a very long time, and is why this is not a special policy area. Why is not a PSPO? It's a public space protection order. Nobody can drink alcohol in open containers. I understand there are a couple of other persons made objections. One of them is I think it's a photographic studio. My client mentioned he felt sorry for this person because his front door is in a place where people can stay at night and make a mess in this area. So he has to clean the mess every single day. That is not my client's problem, Chair. That is lack of enforcement. I'm sorry to say that. So problem like this should have some sort of policy to deal with this, to remove these problems. It's not the businesses' responsibility for cleaning up the non-compliance on the street, Chair. The Licensing Act clearly says that. And I have seen the subcommittee hearing 2 years ago where my client came in. And the application was refused at the time. And what achievement we have made by refusing my client's application? Nothing. The problem is still happening, and if we don't, the enforcement authorities didn't take the right action, Chair, it's sadly going to continue forever. By restricting just one premises, I know there was a Tesco being granted on the street a few years ago, a couple of years, I think, and they do have 6.5 restriction, but it's not same like this. They can sell some craft beers and everything, but not a complete ban like this. The problem is, Chair, you cannot compare a small corner shop to a big corporation. We have to compete with the bigger corporations plus some other smaller shops. I know financial matter is not a concern under the Licensing Act 2003, but end of the day, Council has to support the small businesses who act responsibly to promote the licensing objectives. So that is what we are repeatedly saying. We are not here to undermine the objectives, and we don't want to invite any troublemakers to our premises. By refusing this application last time in 2023, January, Chair, we have created an unfair trading ground for my client and unfairly singled him out, his business. This is wrong, Chair. This is not far from discriminating a single premises in a highly competitive area. We have to realize this is somebody's livelihood, Chair. Instead of enforcing this area, we are trying to stop the shops doing a legitimate business who put right measures in place. So they pay their taxes and charges. This is their livelihood. They put the investment on the front line, and they're trying to do the right things. Chair, when we add conditions to the license, there should be some sort of proportionality. He has a premises right in front of him, selling 24 hours, without any sort of restrictions. We are not asking because they have the license, we have to have it. We are saying we're trying to run a business in that environment. So the conditions on his license has to have some sort of proportionality so the business can survive. So the conditions should be appropriate. I understand, yes, police have raised some concerns, the condition should be enforceable. So this is why, again, I know the legal officer is here. I'm not amending my application, but just for the appropriation and the proportionality, even if you are not happy with the statement we are providing, we are happy to give more assurance today. So what we are trying to say, we are happy to accept additional conditions for the 6.5 or above ABV PSI de lager. We are happy to sell minimum of 4 in any single transaction. This is for the 6.5 or above 500 milliliter or less. So that's the most of the cans and bottles. The reason we are suggesting that, because street drinkers usually buy a single container. If not, in rare cases too. We're not going to sell that. If you're going to sell it, it's minimum of 4 in a single transaction, which is a very expensive process. It's only for our regular, genuine, decent customers. So the business can keep some of his regular customers and carry on doing whatever they've been doing for the last 2 years or more. It's a genuine ask, Chair. It gives some sort of level playing ground for this business. And it's an enforceable condition. We have a clear CCTV running all the time. Anybody can clearly check whether we are complying with this or not. That is the first proposal. We are happy to accept that. We're not going to challenge it. We're not going to take this any further. The second one, we are happy to add to our license conditions. Anything 6.5 or above, again, 500 ml or below, we are happy to put a tag on each of the containers with our shop ID, either it's a name or some sort of ID. So anybody can trace this container. If you find it in a hand of some of the street drinkers, you can see where it came from. So we are providing all these safety grounds, all these measures, because we know we are not going to sell it to them. We know we're not going to undermine the licensing objectives. It's a clear, enforceable conditions on top of the strict matrix of conditions you have, Chair. Just wanted to point out, just under the proportionality and the appropriate, the Section 182, Licensing Act 2003, Home Office Guidance, clearly says 9.43, the authority's determination should be evidence-based, justified as being appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objective, and proportionate to what is intended to achieve. So our intention is not to sell the alcohol to the wrong person. We need to run a genuine business, Chair. We want to keep our customers. And we're happy to work with all the authorities to eliminate this problem on our street, because the problem is not only for public, it's for us too. So for all these reasons, you have all the assurance and extra measures in place, Chair. Therefore, this application should be granted. Thank you so much.
I have a question, please. I've heard that the applicant doesn't sell to troublemakers. When was the last time you refused to sell to one of these troublemakers?
That is, thank you, Councillor. That was a very long time ago, because we don't get those customers, because those troublemakers have numerous options. There are some other shops selling all sort of alcohol. So when he started the business, he had a few people trying to buy just the normal beers and stuff, but because he get constant advice from the authorities, he stopped all of them. So he doesn't get those people coming at all. And he doesn't see those people anymore these days. I know the problem is there on the street, but he doesn't get anybody coming to the shop. So yes, very long time ago, maybe more than a year. No, he doesn't sell.
Just looking at the refusals register, is the reason we've not got any entries before the 10th of the 9th, 2024?
There's no other reason apart from I didn't include it, Councillor. It's quite a lot of papers.
Right, I've got several questions, sorry. So firstly, I'm trying to comprehend why you feel the need that the business is failing unless you sell this extra strength beer, because I can't understand why a business would not be able to survive that. And also, maybe I should ask the police actually, if without the condition being put on this licence, would the licence have been granted in the first place? Can you answer that?
We'd have been back at hearing had we not agreed this condition. When we first came in 2022, this condition would have brought us to, if they hadn't agreed that condition, it would have come to hearing.
Thank you. And Zoe, I don't know if you can help or not with the PSPO situation. Do you know anything about that?
It's not an area that I specifically deal with in licensing. However, I am aware that they are looking at the area into basically putting the PSPO back in sort of close by. But I don't know timescales or anything else. That's my understanding of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for putting things on you, but I'm just asking. How do you intend to enforce these conditions? Or when you say, I won't sell to problem people, do you know all of the problem people? And what is the criteria? What is meant by problem people? How on earth will it be enforced?
Thank you, Chair. Can I answer your first question, please? So you was asking the reason why it's impacting. Chair, generally, for the last year or year and a half, the corner shops are struggling because of all the financial matters. People are just shopping around before they're making the purchase. That's across the country. All of the small businesses are having the same problem. So losing like 5 customers in a week, so business like this is a massive impact. So it's not for the alcohol sale wheel after, it's for the people who buy alcohol as part of their shopping. the other people, the super strength alcohol, part of their shopping, they are the people we're trying to retain, those customers we're trying to retain. Selling probably 5, 10, 20 cans a week is not going to make a profit because its margin on alcohol is very small. But the margin on groceries, they make decent amount of profit. So the people who buy this alcohol with the groceries, they are not coming to his shop. So that is why he feels the unfairness and unfair trading ground for this business, because people trying to buy this alcohol with the groceries, they never come to his shop. They go to the other places. So that is why he wants to remove this condition in a responsible manner by adding extra safeguarding measures in place to end up not this alcohol end up in the wrong hands. That is why he wants to sell minimum of 4 and put some tax on it. So this is it's a very strict measures he wanted to do to sell this alcohol here responsibly. So that's to answer your first question, Councillor. I forgot the second one now.
It was how are you intending on enforcing it?
Thank you, Chair. It's the local knowledge. Himself is there more than 2 years in this area. He see the people, the business owners talk to each other. He knew one of the objector who made the objections, that's the photo studio nearby. They constantly talk to the business owners talk to each other and see these people on daily basis here. So they knew, I'm not going to pretend that they knew 100% of the problem people. They knew 99.9% of the people who caused the nuisance. And that's the knowledge these business people gain in and day out. So they're not going to sell these people, and they've been doing that successfully for the last 2 years. And these people never come to his place. So that is why when we do the risk assessment before we make the application, Chair, we establish that it's a safer practice without undermining the licensing objective or any possible breach in the future. Be able to do this.
So, how many staff do you have at the premises, please?
With me, 3 people.
So 3 in total, including yourself. And do you have set hours that you work yourself, or do you have days off? Do you have set hours, set days off?
Yeah, without me, sometimes manager is working. And most of the time I am working there.
I was just going to reference the log that you've sent, which seems to indicate virtually the same signature on all of the log, and all of the log are for no ID. And yet they're all at different times. So I was just questioning, is that your signature in the main on the logs that you've sent? Okay, so the main signature, so say if you go on the page from the 10th of the 9th, 24 to the 8th of the 11th, that is pretty much the same signature all the way down. That's the staff member, is it?
One of the main person cover the till most of the time. The other person do cover the till when he's not around. So it's manager and himself.
And just to note that it's mainly for vapes, Rizzlers, lighters. There isn't an awful lot of alcohol on here. So is that not a usual problem?
Yes, Councillor, it's not a useful problem. He initially had those problems, but since he refused completely for the problem people and they maintain some sort of regularity and some strict measurements, the people trying to buy something illegally is very hardly come to his place. because there are lots of options around that shop. So that's the reason he doesn't have lots of refusals or denial for any wrong person. So yes.
You also mentioned that the problems still exist in the area, and so there was no adding to it by your client for this since last July, when the refusal took place. However, it's also not added. I think on saying it's not changed in the area, you can't say it wouldn't have added to the issues. I don't know if the police can add to that. Also, could I ask the police about the 2 conditions that has been mentioned? Are there thoughts on that, please?
There are some questions I've got for the applicant. I feel that we need to readdress. Would you like me to answer your questions now or come to you afterwards? Okay. Okay. Over the last couple of years, council will probably be aware that we've launched hotspot policing within Derbyshire, which has led to us policing certain areas intensely. This has been a hotspot, so things have improved in the area. I think Chair Lady might have been on the previous subcommittee where we had to show you a number of photographs of street drinkers in the area. Things have improved slightly, but they are still an issue in the area, as we can see by the previous other matters. Councillors, I think in relation to the conditions, it's important to remember the application was put in as such. Responsible authorities received no contact from the applicant to discuss these 2 set conditions. We're only hearing about them now. There was plenty of time for applicant to place these in, to speak with us before putting in an application to get our thoughts, which wasn't done. So again, today, it's a bit late to place these conditions in front of us. It is a manifestly different application if we start looking at these. My question would be, why weren't these added to the application to start with? Or a conversation with responsible authorities about that?
Thank you for the question, Chair. It's a great question. When we put the application, I put a business case, why we are asking this, and why do we think we're not going to undermine that. That's part of the application detail. And normally when I make the application with most of the authorities, I do normally notify, I'm sorry, I'm not going to undermine any authorities or anybody. I'm just explaining the current, what we faced with this application. I normally get notification as soon as I get an objection from any responsible authorities. But I never had anything, and I had to chase the licensing team after the last date of representation. And when it's ended, and initially I've been told there was no police objection, just 2 other person objections. Then later stage I've been told, so sorry, we made a mistake, there was a police objections. So when the objections were brought to us, at the same time the hearing was booked. So everything came to us in the last minute, like maybe a few days here and there. So we didn't actually have a time to negotiate, and also we didn't have the full detail of the objection until the very last moment. Yes, we could have done pre-application advice, but that is, we thought, as a part of the business case, we put that forward, and we were expecting to have some sort of consultation during the 28 days period, but we haven't had any. We were under the impression that police were happy with the business case until, week after the consultation was ended, when we notified that there was a police objection. So that was the real situation. It might be the staffing issues, we understand that, but we are here now, and we're willing to work with the authorities, we're willing to sort out this problem, and it's not just a problem for public and the police, it's a problem for my client too, as well as all other businesses. We're trying to work with you, we don't want this problem, that is why we're trying to add few more measures, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you make any clarity on that, Zoe, for us, please?
I can. As far as the police representation is concerned, We did check in our filing system and it did actually refer to a minor variation. So that is why at first the applicant was told in the first instance that there was not one that had been received. After checking with the police, this was clarified and it was actually in relation to a full variation, as you'll see in the paperwork in Appendix 2. So hence this is why the police representation wasn't initially forwarded across. The actual representation itself was basically an outright objection, and I think the police might be able to provide a bit more information on that. I am aware also that there was discussions with the applicant to say that representations had been received from interested parties, because myself, as soon as I came back from leave, when I was made aware of them, I did actually advise the applicant accordingly. So that is the case. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So application was received. It was processed by an administrator who clicked minor variation. So that day when it arrived, a notification going back saying we object to this, as we would do for a minor variation, was sent. It was only later on they picked up that obviously this can't be a minor variation, the application, so further detailed. But the objection went in within the time period, and so did the further information. It was just an administration error that came over as the administrator selected minor variation, not full variation. So again, was within the time period. So obviously we sent that back to Zoe to update with some further information, rather than a minor variation where we'd normally say, no, this is going to undermine, we wouldn't normally go to hearing. So further information was added within the representation period.
Thank you, Chair. I hear what you say about the gathering that local knowledge of problem people so you can not serve to them, but on the police report it said about football fans coming to the stadium and passing the shop. You won't know who the problem people is with them football fans, and the football fans change every week, so how are you going to solve that issue?
Thank you, Councillor, for the question. It's if there is any additional measures we have to take, any sort of game days, we can do that. That is not a problem. But again, we're going back to the same scenario. That's a situation for not just premises. This premises is the situation for every other premises. So yes, we have to take some extra measures. It's very hard to find when there is a football fans comes in. That's the situation. That is why during those times, there are some extra resources from the enforcement side as well, expecting some sort of disorder. So there's an extra measures in place those days. So I think that will alleviate the additional concerns. That's always the case in any unusual situations. So, we don't normally make a definition based on exceptions. So that's an exceptional circumstances require exceptional measures. So we are happy to take exceptional measures on an exceptional circumstances. And of course, there are some additional measures the enforcement services put on those days. So all we're asking it, don't destroy the business based on some few days where the football fans comes in. It's a small business, councillor. That's what it is.
Can I just check, when was the premises licence granted? January 20. January. Right, so in 2022, and it's fair to say that the applicant was before the committee in 2023. Right, and that was as a result of the inspection taken out by trading standards and the police.
What happened? He opened the shop.
Could you put your microphone on, otherwise it won't be recording, that's it.
Sorry. The license, he opened the shop, he bought the shop and opened the shop in December 22. And he started trading from end of December, January part. He made an oversight. He didn't look at the license conditions fully. That is his mistake. He believed his agent or solicitor at that time. He opened the shop and started selling as a normal off license. But a few weeks later, Trading Standard Inspection picked up this issue and removed all the alcohol, super strength alcohol, completely from the premises. As a result, he made a variation soon after that inspection to remove that because that's the time he actually realized the condition is only place, and it was refused at the time.
And there were over 100 bottles that were seized at that time.
That is absolutely right.
Some of those bottles were on display and some of them were in these stock rooms.
Yes, yeah, it's because he wasn't aware of the condition. He fully stocked the premises with those alcohol, yeah.
And I think it's fair to say earlier on that you said that he'd only breached one condition of the licence. That was the only condition that he breached.
That is the only instant he breached the conditions,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just that the paperwork that I have before me, I think there's more than one condition that's been breached. For example, the mandatory and Annex 2 condition, there was no age verification policy in place. And that is... Sorry, just one moment. So that's one condition that's been breached. No records of staff training. That's 2. There was no incident log available. That's 3. And the CCTV was not operating as it should have been. So that's quite a few conditions that have been breached. That's not just one, is it?
No, it's not one condition. As I previously mentioned, it was just one instant he breached the license conditions.
So it was one incident in relation to the alcohol, and because the police went in and Trading Standards, they then realised there were further conditions that had been breached.
No, this was picked up during a regular inspection by the Trading Standard. Yeah.
But it was more than one thing that was picked up.
That
Was
is
it
right.
just
Yes.
the alcohol?
Yes, yeah. But there was one incident, more than one thing in that same incident.
It was one incident with quite a lot of systematic breaches.
Yes, that is true.
Right, I'd just like to ask one question. You're saying that the whole point of you wanting to change this licence is because you're saying he's being penalised financially. Okay, and the conditions that you're putting forward is one, limit of 4 cans per sale, and the other is that you want to put labels. I mean, putting labels, I would have thought that would be quite a costly exercise. So if the whole point is to generate money, wouldn't you be spending money to put these labels? And what type of labels would they be? Would you be able to peel them off? Would the, you know, I mean, what kind of labels are you talking about?
Thank you, Councillor. This is some of the practice lots of premises follow across the country in areas such as this. And it's been recognized as one of the successful premises to find just the problem premises rather than banning everybody. When it's come to the labeling, they already have a labeling system for pricing. So the price guns they have used comes with a sticker. You can set the fonts. So it's not an additional cost to put like extra 50 or 60 stickers on certain things. So when they price tag things, they can put the name of the shops on the price tag. When it's come to peeling off, these people are not keen on peeling the label off. It's just one of the additional measures the business owners take just to operate responsibly and give some enforceable conditions for the authority so they can carry on business as usual, Councillor. So, yeah, it's not a very costly addition. It's something they already do for different purpose, and they just need to modify it slightly. And in terms of the sales, We are not trying to aim the alcohol sale to increase the revenue. Rather, we're trying to capture the customers who actually buy the groceries as well as this. So when we lose the customer, we are losing that whole grocery sale, which is the main profit we normally get from. That's a significant profit. We are losing that unfairly at the moment. So that is why the business is struggling, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. So that is why we need to amend it responsibly, Councillor.
Okay, could I just ask a question of your client, please? So as the DPS of the premises, are you aware of the 4 licensing objectives?
Prevent crime and disorder, protect the public, protect the children, the public nuisance, protect the public.
Okay, thank you. I've got no further questions. Yeah, so have the police got some questions?
Councillors, thank you. The first bit I did want to address the one condition concern, because I was concerned that that was misleading there. There was another matter that I just wished to bring up. During your submission, you said the police have visited twice a year. In fact, you went as far as to say the police's submission to the subcommittee was disingenuous. Please, can you share with the committee the date of the police's last inspection of this premises? When did the police last inspect this premises?
According to my client, he's saying is police visit his premises and check things more than 10 times in the last 2 years.
After the problem.
After he had the issue in January 2023. And they inspected it, they checked things more than 10 times.
Councillors, my concern here is the police's last inspection was in 2023. Police licensing officers haven't been back to complete an inspection. I will offer some explanation. Off licences are normally managed by the Council Trading Standards team, not the police. We would attend should there be concerns around other matters in the area. We haven't been since 2023, leaving it with the Council Trading Standard team. I do have to readdress that matter because I do think it's very important when submission is called disingenuous in front of you, and that's the truth of the activity there. My second question, can you tell us a bit more about these labels? Because you've mentioned price labels that really are designed to peel off, aren't they?
All the labels can be peeled off. We can't actually make a bottle just for the shop. It can be peeled off, but who is intentionally going to peel off this label just to save the shop? It's not possible. And if the street drink are buying this can, they're not going to peel off this label because they want to save the shop. That's practically impossible, Councillor. And the staff can't do that because they are under a clear CCTV all the time. So we are trying to, the fact of the matter is, a hammer can be used to break a jewellery shop, but we don't ban the hammer in B&Qs. We don't do that. We have to find a way to sell the hammer in a responsible manner. So that is what we are trying to achieve here. We're trying to do a responsible business by a responsible trader, and we're trying to give as much as possible safeguarding places around it. So it's a livelihood, end of the day, somebody's livelihood, Councillor. So we have to, if we can put some measures to allay the concerns, the Licensing Act 2003 clearly saying that, if we can put some measures to allay these concerns, we have to use some alternative methods rather than singling out one premises in a highly competitive area. So that's what we are trying to achieve. What else we could do? We need to do, it's a livelihood. This is not illegal product we're trying to sell, Councillor. It's a legitimate product. It's been sold throughout the country. So in this area, we're trying to put some extra measures to do that. That's what the fact of the matter is. We can, penalize every minor thing here and there, but what we're going to achieve by that.
Thank you. My next question is in relation to the people in the local area. Councillor has also alluded to the fact there will be football fans in there. I'm grateful to them for doing that. They're not from the local area. How will you combat people attending, buying alcohol on behalf of other people that you've previously banned for being street drinkers or, as you say, problem people?
That is in the same way as we currently manage as proxy sales. A part of our training procedure, we have to look for proxy sales and some signs and some previous knowledge to avoid proxy sales. Of course, we cannot 100% eliminate the problem. In an ideal world, that's never happened. Nobody can do that. As much as possible, in a responsible manner, if we have any doubt this alcohol is going to end up in the wrong hand, we're not going to sell it. And that's what we've been doing all along. And we never had any problem in the last 2 years in terms of underage sales or sell it to the wrong person. So in the same way, in the same way we manage the proxy sale, we're going to do the same thing for selling to the troublemakers. So yeah, we have the local knowledge. If there's any doubt, we're not going to sell it.
No further questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll move to summing up now if there's no further questions. So we'll go in the same order, and it begins with the licensing officer. Zoe, please.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. The options available today are to either decide to either grant the application as per the premises, modify the conditions of the licence, or reject the whole or part of the application. Thanks.
Thank you. Responsible authority, please.
Thank you. The rewording of the condition is neither enforceable nor beneficial at this stage. Derbyshire Constabulary objects to this application in its entirety. We have heard today some additional measures. They obviously haven't been put to us previously, just been placed today. I believe that I've proven that there are some issues on Midland Road and the surrounding areas with antisocial behaviour, some criminal activity, which directly link to the sale of high-strength lager, beer and cider. With an addition of another outlet selling these products, they'll become easier to obtain for the local street drinkers. They can get hold of such drinks more easily, and this would undermine the 4 licensing objectives. I respectfully request that the committee refuse the application on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you. And the applicant, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just to quickly summarise, yes, there was a mistake happened in January 2023. That is when the premises was opened first time. And he made a mistake at the time. He admit that. But it doesn't mean he has to be punished for year after year after year. He has a proven track record for more than 2 years without any problems, Councillor. So that should be recognised. And in summary, you have no evidence neither against the applicant nor these premises in front of you today. All the problems is already existing in this area. It's a decade-old problem, and it's not just related to alcohol. It's related to so many other things. On top of everything, Chair, there is a review application process. And reviewing my client's license is a lot easier because he has a number of conditions, and we are putting some additional measures. So reviewing is much, much more easier than any other premises in this area because he has to follow matrix of strict conditions. So when you have all these safety measures in place, Councillor, when a good business trying to do a genuine trade, why we have to hammer this business down? Local authorities supposed to be supporting good businesses. He coming with all sort of measures to promote the licensing objectives. So we should give him a chance to prove himself. If there is any mistakes, review application is in process. He can't escape from breaching his condition. He got all the places, all the measures in place, and additional measures he's willing to put forward. It shows his willingness to work with the authorities, Chair. So with all these reasons, this application should be granted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So I'm concluding this committee then. Thank you very much for your attendance. And as I said previously, we'll now make our decision, and an email of the decision will be sent out. I think Jackie will go out with you and make sure she's got everybody's emails, and will be sent out tomorrow. Is that correct? Yeah. You want to say something, Zoe? Sorry.
Only that I'll email the decision notice once it's signed tomorrow, so I've got the details already, just to clarify, if that's okay. Thanks.
Thank you, sorry. So that concludes today's meeting. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you.